Hello, I'm glad you're on your math assignment here, checking your answers. Try it first and then check your answers with the video. I've started number one here. I'll do the odds on this video and then the evens on another video. So first you want to do the distributive property with the 1/2 times 8 to get the 4, and then 1/2 times 10 to get the -5. And then notice if I get if I subtract 4x, right, from both sides, then I get -5 equals -5. And so that is always going to be true, right? That is always true. So that means x can be is a member of the set of all real numbers, okay? And in our math space we said there was infinite solutions. All right, any number that you put in for x here is going to make it true. 0, 1, 2, whatever. Okay, and if you wanted to, you could even add 5 to both sides, and then you get 0 equals 0, right? Which is true. Okay, so no matter what you do, you're going to get a true equation as long as you do something to both sides. So now going down to number 3. I've got, I want to find my solution here. So here I've got 4x on the left, right, and -6 on the right. Okay, so it's not exactly the same on the left and the right. Okay, so I have a solution. It's not all real numbers, and it's not no solution. Let's see what we got. So I'm going to solve this equation, and maybe I'll come over here, give myself some space. I'm going to go ahead and add x to both sides. And so that gives me 4x plus 6x is 10x. And then I'm going to bring down the -6 equals these -6x plus 6x, that adds up to 0. And then I'll bring down the -4. And I'm going to try to get the x by itself by adding 6 to both sides. So 10x equals 2. Divide by 10, divide by 10. So x equals 2/10, which reduces to 1/5. So here we go. Looking at number 5, all right, I'm doing the properties here, and notice here I've got x plus 5 and I'm adding 0. The key thing here is I'm adding 0, and then I get x plus 5 on the other side. So if I'm adding 0, that would be the identity property for addition. Here I've got x, 5, and 9, x, 5, and 9. So the order is exactly the same. But what is different is the grouping. Right here I've got x plus 5 in a group, and over here we have 5 plus 9 in a group. And so that means it's going to be the associative property. So that would be A. All right, I've changed the parentheses, not the order. So now this one I've got x, 5, and 9, 9x, 5. So the order is different, and so if the order is different, that's going to be the commutative property. And then for this last one, I've distributed the 5 to the x and the 9. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 9 is 45, and then I have the +1. I'm not distributing to the +1, it's just out there. That is the distributive property, so that would be C. Okie doke. So number 7, I am going to solve this equation. All right, I'm going to do the butterfly math, butterfly multiply. So I'm going to multiply these two together, and I'm going to multiply these two together and write an equation. So, and the best way to start it out is with parentheses, so to help you remember to keep those together and do the distributive property there. So I'm going to be 6 times the quantity of 3x minus 2 equals 4 times the quantity of 2x plus 5. Then I do my distributive property. 18x minus 12 equals 8x plus 20. All right, and then I'm going to get all my x's on one side. So I'm going to minus 8x over here. So 18 minus 8 is 10x. Bring down the minus 12. That's 0. So then I'm going to bring down the 20. Add 12. So I get 10x equals 32. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 10. And I get x equals 3.2. All right. I was going to rewrite that, but maybe I'll just do it real, squeeze it in there. Divide both sides by 10. And I get x equals 3.2. And actually, I've said all along no decimals, though, so we'll say x equals, so that was 32 over 10, and so that would be 16/5. Alrighty, so that was number 7. Now, number 9, I'm going to erase here because I've kind of made a mess of that. Number 9, I've got, again, x's on both sides. So, but before you start doing things to both sides, you need to combine your like terms. All right, I've got a positive 25 and a positive 13. So I'm going to combine those. And also, I'll just bring down my minus x. All right, you always have the variables first. And then 25 plus 13 would be 38. Equals, and then now I've got my 40 minus 3x. All right, so now I have x's on both sides. I'm going to get rid of these guys on the right. So I'll do that to both sides. Minus 1 plus 3 is 2x plus 38 equals 40. All right, minus the 38 from both sides, and so 2x equals 2. Divide by 2, x equals 1. All right, so now I've got my inequalities here. This right here is going to be an and, right? Because I've got my 2 less thans, and this is in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to get the x by itself. I've got this divided by 3, so that's the first thing I get rid of. I'm going to get rid of this fraction by multiplying everything by 3. So 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. It's still less than, because even though this is a negative 3, but I multiplied by a positive 3, right? The thing I'm multiplying is positive 3 times everything. So I'll leave that as a less than. Now this 3 crosses out with this 3, right? And so now I have the x minus 2 is less than or equal to, and then 3 times 5 is 15. All right, so we multiplied everything by 3. And then now I've got the x minus 2, so I'm going to add 2 so that I'll have x by itself. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Okay, if you add or subtract, you don't flip anything. You don't have to worry about it. So I'll leave these as less thans, and then that would be 17. So I've got a negative 1, open circle, right? If you have, right, if it's strictly less than, then that's going to be an open circle. My 17 is going to be a closed circle, right, because I have, right, this is less than or equal to. This one's less than or equal to, so that would be a closed circle. All right, and then I'm going to shade in the middle. All right, that is an and. All these numbers are greater than -1 and less than or equal to 17. All right, so looking at 13, I've got an equality, an equation, but I've got these, the 4 and the -6 are on the same side. So I'm going to combine them. So that would be, let's see, I've got 4x minus 6x is going to be -2x. And then I'm just going to bring down the -7 because I can't combine it. And then now I've got this negative is going to be distributed to everything inside here. So bring down the 3, all right, because it's not, I'm not distributing it, it's in front of the minus sign. So just bring down the 3, and then now I'm going to distribute the -1 times 4 is -4x, and -1 times -10 would be +10. So I changed these signs from +4 to -4, and then -10 to +10. Now here I have like terms, right? Before you start doing things to both sides, see if you can simplify first. On the left-hand side, I can't. There's nothing you can combine, so we'll just leave it like that. But on the right side, I've got the -4x all by itself. But I've got 3, +3, and +10, so that's going to be a +13. Notice this negative sign was in front of the -4. The 3 is a +3. And now I can get my x's on one side. So this is -4, so I'm going to do the inverse. That would be +4. -2 plus 4 is 2x minus 7. That is 0, so that goes away, and I have the 13. Add 7. 2x equals 20. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals 10. All right, we're cruising along here. Now I've got this inequality here. So I just kind of treat it like an equal sign, really, as far as solving goes. Okay, I've got a left-hand side and a right-hand side. So I'm going to distribute the 2 here, so that would be -6x, right, when I go like that, and then +10 minus 2 is less than, I'm going to keep the sign the same because I've just distributed. And then now I've got -6x, just stays as -6x, but 10 minus 2 is 8, so I'll go ahead and simplify that. All right, and then now I'm going to -8 on both sides, so I get -6x. That adds up to 0, so less than or equal to 10. All right, no flipping, adding and subtracting, you don't flip. Now I'm going to divide by a negative, right? Divide by a negative. So alert, alert, I'm dividing by a negative. So that's going to change the sign. I go to a +x, flip the sign. All right, so let's make a note of that. All right, I'm dividing by a negative, and so I flipped my sign. I went from negative, less than, to greater than. All right, and then I'll just reduce this. This is 10 over, or I could say -10/6, right? And then that reduces to, so x is greater than, negative, or equal to negative, and then that would be 5/3. All right, they're both even, so I can divide the top and bottom by 2. And then, so what that looks like is, here's my -5/3 on my number line. Close circle because of this equal right here, so that's a closed circle. And then greater than would be to the right, and it kind of points to the right. And there we go. Okay, so that is that page done. And now we have the dreaded word problems. No worries. It says write a let statement to define your variable. So and then what's going to be my variable? The variable is going to be my question, how many weeks? Okay, so W equals number of weeks. All right. So Andrea has 150 in her account, so $150 is there. Deposits means you're going to add how much? 32 per week. So 32 per week. So times the number of weeks. Each week is going to be $32. And then she is going to have, finally, after all that, $502. So I'm going to say equals, let me write that nicer, $502. Okay, now I'm going to read it again, make sure I've got everything right. So it says, how many weeks? All right, so how many weeks, that is going to be my variable. The next part, I'm depositing, so that's going to be plus, right? The initial value was 150, and then I've got 32 per week, so there's my 32W. All right, and then finally at the end, the 502. All right, so that looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and just solve this. I've got the 150 sticking out, right? You want to get to the W, so you start adding and subtracting first. Kind of pick off the thing that's farthest out, the 150. So that's 0, and so I have 32W equals, and then I'll subtract this. And I get 352. All right. And then now I'm going to divide by 32. Divide by 32. So the number of weeks is, let's see, 32 goes into 35 one time with 32, 11. So W is equal to 11. So again, you got to answer the question. So the question was how many weeks, okay? So we're going to write this out as a sentence in 11, oops, oh my Lord, 11 weeks. Andrea will have $502. And that's it. Number 17 done. And we did all the steps, right? Remember, you read the problem, write the equation, and define a variable, solve for the variable, answer the question. All right. So number 17 is done. Number 18, you're taking soccer lessons. And you've got 2 soccer clubs. You've got the old $206 fee up front, and then $34 per lesson. All right. So you can imagine what we're going to do, because we've done a couple like these with the gym memberships. All right. And so that's for a member. All right. If you're a non-member, all right, you pay $47 per lesson. All right. So what is the question? What's the variable here? I guess is the lessons, right? The number of lessons that you're going to take, that is going to vary. So we'll say let L equal the number of lessons. Okay. So, and it says, what we're going to do is see what makes, where they're equal, okay, where it doesn't matter if you're a member or not. So 1 would be the 260 fee plus the $34 per lesson. So I'm going to multiply them together. All right, the other one is if I'm a non-member, and that would just be $47 per lesson. All right, so this is how much money I'm paying as a non-member. All right, so this is my non-member price, and this would be as a member. Okay, so we're going to solve and see what it is if they're equal. I've got the L's on both sides. So I'll go ahead and subtract 34L. And because then I've just got 260 equals 13L divided by 13, divided by 13. And so I get L equals 20. All right. So at 20 lessons, it doesn't matter. All right. So if I take less than 20 lessons, all right, if I'm taking just a couple lessons, I want to pay per lesson. All right, because if I take, for example, if I take 1, right, if L equals 1, right, if I take 1 lesson, it would be 260 plus 34, right, times 1, and that would be $294. And then the other one would be 47 times 1. All right, so that only cost me $47. So if I take less than 20 lessons, all right, then I want to go with paying per lesson and not be a member. Let me write that in. Let's see if I can find a space here. All right, so if the number, oops, oh, I can't do that, okay. If, all right, if I take less than 20 lessons, I should not be a member. Okay. Because then I don't have to pay this $260 up front. Well, I guess I should use my pen. All right. Okay, I'm just going to leave it. There's no punctuation. Okay, so that is that one. Number 21, Kramer plans to build a rectangular fence. So there's my rectangle. Draw your rectangle. I've got, this would be the width, and here's my length. And I've got 186 feet, so that's the perimeter, right? So my perimeter is 186. And the length is 13 more than 3 times the width. So my length is 13 more than, so I'm adding 13 more than 3 times the width. All right. So, and then my width is just going to be W. So if I know the width, I can figure out the length. All right. So let the length equal 3W plus 13. And the width equals W. And then we're given that the perimeter is 186. So I'm going to write an equation, right? One variable, one equation, I'm good to go. So remember, the perimeter is the distance around, right? Perimeter is like if you're doing a fence, you're going, this is the perimeter. So that means I have my perimeter is going to be, I've got two lengths, right? This length and this length, plus two widths, right? This width and this width. So now I'm just going to substitute in here. I know my perimeter is 186. 2 times the length. Well, my length was this whole thing here, 3W plus 13. Right? 3 times the width, and it's 3 more than that, or 13 more than that. So I have 2 lengths plus 2 widths. And then now I'm going to distribute the 2. So I have 186 equals 6W plus 26 plus 2W. I'm going to combine my like terms. These are on the same side of the equation, right? So that means I'm going to combine them. So I've got the 6W and 2W is 8W. And then I'll bring down the 26 equals 186 minus the 26, divide by 8. So W equals 20. Okay, so this, my width is 20. So now what you're going to do is substitute in here. So my length is going to be 3 times 20 plus 13. So that would be 60 plus 13. Remember PEMDAS, you're going to multiply first and then add. All right, so that would be, oops, not 80. That's going to be 73 for my length. All right, so we need to answer the question. It says, what are the dimensions? The dimensions are 73 for the length and, oh, I can't even read my own writing. What the heck? Oh, 20 for the width. There, now I get to put a period there. All right, yeah, let me fix this. This is kind of a mess. Oops. Oops. All right, so the width is 20. And the length is 3 times 20 plus 13, 73. All right. And the last one here, I think, almost 22. Oh, nope. Okay, so that's, we'll jump down here. So literal equations, we are doing solving for B. So here's the B right here. So what I'm going to do, I've got two sides. So I'm going to subtract my 2H from both sides. So I can't combine these, so that would just be S minus 2H equals 2B. And then now I want to get rid of the 2, so I'm going to divide by 2. So I get B equals S minus 2H all over 2. All right, and you might even be able to like split that apart. You could say B equals, using my symmetric property, I'll put B on the left, and I'm going to say that would be S over 2, right? Because I'm going to divide the S divided by 2, right? So S divided by 2 minus, and then this would be 2H divided by 2. So B equals S divided by 2 minus, and then those could cross out, and then that would be H. All right. So number 25, I'm solving for R. So here I want R by itself. So let's see, I'll get rid of the 2/3 first. To get rid of the 2/3, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3/2. So I've got 3/2 times c. Okay, these divide out, and that equals d squared times r, right? And then now I want to get rid of the d squared. So I'm going to divide by d squared. So that means I'm going to divide this side by d squared as well. So this would be divided by d squared. So d squared divided by d squared is, I get the r by itself, and then that would be 3c all over 2d squared. Okie doke. And that is it for the odds.